Okay, ladies, I'm going to kick us off with some introductions, and then I'll hand things over to Marisol for the duration of our evening tonight. I want to welcome everyone to our facial Gua Sha Spa Night with Esperanza Herbals. My name's Catherine Donahue. I'm the Social Events Committee Chair this year for the League. And I hope I can say a friend of Marisol's. She is wonderful and excellent, and I'm so excited that she was able to come on and give us this tutorial and history lesson tonight. I want to read a little bit about Marisol and her background, and then again, I'll hand it over to her. So Marisol is the owner of Esperanza Herbals, a holistic, Marisol, the owner of Esperanza Herbals, is a holistic esthetician, herbalist, and energy healer. Her private practice is located in the heart of Boston's Back Bay neighborhood. It's her passion to help people feel beautiful and at peace within their bodies, souls, and spirits. She offers a variety of services from holistic facial treatments and herbal consults to meditations and energy healings. She is here to help guide you on a transformational journey to support you in developing mindful daily rituals that help keep you in tune with the present moment and deepen your connection to yourself. So we're going to get a little taste of that tonight. And without further ado, I'll hand things over to Marisol.
Hello, everyone. I'm so excited to be here tonight and to be offering this fun workshop for you guys. I am going to go through kind of like a presentation first. I want to share some slides with you all, and then we'll kind of get into the hands-on portion a little bit later tonight. Let's see. So I'm just going to share my screen here so I can get this going. Okay. Share this.
We can see those, Marisol, so everything's looking good.
Okay, good. And present. Okay, can everyone see that okay?
Yes, we have your opening slide up on our screens.
Okay, perfect, perfect. All right, so let me open this up. Wonderful. Okay, so yeah, so I'm excited we're here doing facial gua sha tonight. I'm not sure if gua sha is something that all of you are familiar with or not, but it's a really great facial massage technique that we're going to be learning about today. So as Catherine already mentioned, my name is Marisol. I own Esperanza Herbals, and of course I am an esthetician, herbalist, and I do energy and spiritual healing work. And so some of the services that I offer, which were mentioned, of course, I mainly offer holistic facials, but then I also offer spiritual healing services in addition to that. And the main reason for that is because both spiritual healing can help your skin as well, not just like what we put on our skin. It's all a combination of things that I work with my clients in terms of working with them on like gut health or like not getting enough sleep or incorporating more exercise into their life. It's all a holistic approach. So it's not just, you know, get your facial and get out. I like to, you know, make sure that everything in all of your lifestyle, from your habits to what you're putting on your skin and to your stress and spiritual health, all kind of helps us to have clear, radiant, and glowing skin. And so here is today's agenda. And I'm just realizing, oh no, I'm wondering, can you see the whole slides, or because I have my videos here showing everyone's faces, and I'm not sure if that's showing up on the screen that I'm sharing. Is anything?
The slides, at least I can.
Okay, nothing's blocking the view of the slides. Perfect. Okay.
No.
Yeah, so the agenda that we have today. So I'm going to talk a little bit more in depth about what gua sha is, some of its history, and I'm going to talk about the benefits from doing gua sha frequently, any health precautions and kind of contraindications to watch out for or be careful about when performing gua sha, and how to prepare for gua sha, some tips on do's and don'ts to try to remember to get the best results. And then we'll go through the demonstration, and I kind of just ask that if you have any questions as we go along, maybe jot them down or throw them in the chat. And then most of your questions will probably be answered as I'm like demonstrating how to do the techniques. But if you have any additional questions, we can answer those afterwards. And so what is Gua Sha? So Gua Sha is an ancient Chinese modality, a massage technique, and it requires the use of polished stone tools typically, which can be used for various types of massage techniques all over the face and body. And there are a lot of different types of tools that can be utilized for this massage. Some of you may have seen and heard of a lot of different types of tools. There are like rollers for the face. You know, there's a tool that's shaped like this that we're going to be working with, which kind of has a more like heart shape. Some of them have these ridges on the end and some of them don't. There's like little mushroom shaped tools and like thumb shaped tools. And there's a lot of really creative ways to use those on the face and body. But today we'll just be focusing on this. I think that this itself is one of the most versatile tools for being able to accomplish all the things you want to accomplish for facial gua sha. Traditionally, jade was the preferred stone for facial gua sha because of its rejuvenation and ability to kind of promote longevity according to the Chinese medicine traditions. But nowadays there's stones made out of all sorts of different materials. So the stone that we're using today is made of moonstone, which is really lovely. It's known to kind of help calm and soothe your energy. It has balancing properties, great for helping you connect to your intuition and your inner knowing. And moonstone just kind of has like that nice like feminine energy, which I thought would be really appropriate for the Junior League of Boston, since it's a woman-led organization. And but yeah, you'll find tools out there made of rose quartz, beyond stone, amethyst, obsidian, all sorts of stuff out there. And I encourage you to experiment with other types of stones. You know, after this class, if you're out somewhere and you see something and it appeals to you, if the stone calls to you, definitely give it a try and see if you notice you know, anything different, maybe on a more sensitive or energetic level, besides just doing all the techniques we're going to learn today. And I also have mentioned here the literal translation for gua sha. So on the slide here, it says it literally translates to scraping for sand. And so the Chinese character, if we break that down, the Chinese character for gua means to scrape, and the Chinese character for sha can either be translated to like sand or sickness. So the translation is basically like you're scraping for sand or kind of like scraping away sickness. And so as you can see in the photo here that I have on the slide, you see that this woman's back kind of has like all these like little red dots forming from the body gua sha, because with body gua sha, you're typically using a lot more pressure and you're using like a lot of friction strokes to kind of cause that redness to come up, which is the sand that's being referred to. And traditionally, the gua sha was done on the body to help stimulate your qi or your life force, to help people recover faster from illnesses. So it was really just a part of like their everyday tools for when you were catching a cold or some type of illness. You know, the ancient Chinese medicine practitioners would probably recommend some Chinese herbs to take in various forms, and then doing different gua sha techniques to kind of get circulation going, stimulate the lymphatic system, which is a big part of our immune system. And so there is a lot of evidence these days that kind of points to all these things making sense that they have done traditionally, because it's been proved that it's pretty effective. Anything that stimulates the immune system is obviously going to help ward off illnesses. And it's really great, you know, to have the science back up like all these ancient traditions that people have been doing for thousands of years. Let's see. And so, of course, we're not going to be doing any crazy like deep friction movements. We don't want to cause that type of redness and bruising to our faces. So the techniques that we use on the face that we learn later today will be very different from what we learn from what is traditionally used on the body. And let's see, yeah, so I mean, this has been practiced for a very, very long time. This practice dates back to the Paleolithic era. And it was really only documented for the use of facial gua sha and beauty purposes in the 1800s. That's the first time we see documented use of different techniques used for face and beauty, youth and rejuvenation. It was in the Qing dynasty, and Empress Dowager I'm honestly not sure how to pronounce her name, but it's written there so you can see. But there's documented use of her using a jade roller, and it was actually under her rule as an empress that she was really into beauty and skincare and all about preserving her youth. And she actually had an entire imperial medical department dedicated to researching different skincare remedies, so that she could stay looking as young and beautiful and youthful as possible. So she's definitely one of the women in history that we have to thank for bringing this great facial rejuvenation modality kind of like to making it popular to the public. And from there, it's definitely been used a lot all over Asia. And of course, it's really popular here now in the US and other countries as well. And so for the benefits of gua sha, the majority of the benefits from gua sha I find come from the lymphatic drainage techniques that we're going to be using. And because of the lymphatic drainage that happens when we're doing these gua sha massage techniques, that helps us to clear out breakouts, drain puffiness, reduce water retention, and helps to firm the skin tissues. And so I'm going to talk a little bit kind of about our lymphatic system so that we can better understand why lymphatic drainage is such an important part of this practice. So we have lymph nodes all along the sides of our face and neck, and down our neck and into our armpits. We have like major centers of lymph nodes in kind of all these areas. And the lymph nodes have vessels connecting them, and they're different from our blood vessels. They lie just underneath the skin, and they don't have anything to kind of pump the fluid through them. So the lymph fluid in them actually contains, it's kind of like the transportation system and home for our white blood cells. And our white blood cells play a really large role in our immune health and in our detoxification processes. And so our body needs a way to kind of move this fluid through the body. The lymph fluid, the white blood cells take waste out from our blood vessels and then move them along in the lymph fluid to be excreted by the body. Usually it goes, the kidney and the liver kind of help with the draining those wastes and eliminating them from the body. So what happens is that we don't have a pump system like the heart pumps our blood. There's not necessarily anything to pump our lymphatic system. So the way our body works around that is it's really like physical movement and exercise. It's like the contraction of muscles that moves our lymph kind of like all throughout our body. So a lot of people who have like a stagnant lymphatic system, it's because they may be living a really sedentary lifestyle, or if you're holding a lot of like tension in all of your muscles, you're kind of like clenching everything and you're not releasing. So then the lymphatic fluid can kind of become stuck and build up. And so there's not a lot of movement. And when specifically relating to the face, if we're not getting the lymph to drain from our face, everything's just kind of building up here. That's what leads to kind of like the puffiness underneath our eyes or anywhere else we may have it. And our body is trying to figure out how to get rid of these wastes But if the wastes are stuck sitting underneath our skin and the body is like, okay, nothing is moving forward, we have to start pushing the wastes out through the skin. So sometimes that can be a reason for breakouts and acne, where it's just like a lack of movement and circulation of the lymph fluid. It has nowhere to go and your body needs to get rid of these wastes. So it pushes out through the skin. It can lead to dull skin, and puffiness, and those are all the things that we want to avoid. And so in draining the lymph and helping the circulation kind of like move out to the nodes and drain down so that our body can properly get rid of those wastes will give us the most benefit from doing this massage all the time. And then some of the other benefits come from the relaxation process. So the strokes that we're going to be doing, they're very slow movements. You're being very gentle. You kind of want to be centered and grounded as you make this a part of your practice. And it's a massage, it's relaxing. So when we're doing the massage, it's helping to reduce your muscle tension. And usually it's muscle tension that's causing a lot of the fine lines and wrinkles we see on our faces. So, when we're like confused or frustrated, we're like pushing together our brows and forming wrinkles here, or like doing this all the time, getting wrinkles here. And then of course there's wrinkles, from different expressions, the smiling and the under eye lines. Some people get the lines here on your nasal labial folds from smiling, or just genetics. And these are all things that when you work to relax the muscles, we can kind of help reduce their appearance. And it kind of reminds you, it serves as a good reminder throughout the day to just try and like remind yourself, wow, am I holding tension in my face right now? And let's take a moment to kind of like, center yourself and release all of that tension you're holding in your face. And then there are also techniques that I'll be sharing with you today for specifically kind of working against gravity and doing very specific lifting strokes to kind of to get your body to lift your skin and kind of keep it lifted. And so it's a great thing to incorporate every day as a prevention technique, and also helps a little bit if things are already starting to kind of like sag and are not quite like as firm as they used to be. And then there's also technique at the very end that we'll be learning. It's kind of like a very gentle friction technique, which helps to stimulate collagen production to further reduce appearances of those fine lines. And some of the friction techniques can also be used to help heal and fade like any acne, scarring, or things like that, or dark spots on the face to help even out your skin tone. So there's really a lot you can do with facial gua sha. So I know that we're all excited to get into that today. There are just a few precautions that I wanted to mention. I think someone had mentioned to me, is this safe to do if you're pregnant? So I wanted to say that all the products we're using today that I sent samples of, they're safe during pregnancy. Gua sha, the facial gua sha in general, yes, is okay for pregnancy. There's just going to be 2 pressure points that as we go along, I'll remind you again. But if anyone here is pregnant today, there's 2 pressure points to avoid. And then you don't want to apply lots of pressure with the tool. Basically, there's a spot like right on the top of our, like where our collarbone meets our shoulder. You don't want to apply like hard pressure in there. And then the dip right in between your upper lip right here, you don't want to apply like firm pressure in there. Those are 2 points contraindicated for pregnancy. But other than that, all of the other techniques we'll be doing today are safe. And of course, I'll give reminders for those as I do the demonstration. Another precaution is if you have had Botox within the, you don't want to do gua sha within 2 weeks after you've received Botox. We don't want to move around the Botox injection solution because like, for example, if you have Botox on the forehead, it works to, relax the muscles in the forehead to decrease, the appearance of those lines. But then if you're doing gua sha and a lot of lymphatic drainage and you're moving it around, there have been scenarios where I have heard that, you know, the solution drips down to the eyes, and then their eyes starts like their eyebrows start sagging or something weird because of where the solution is moving. So give it 2 weeks to kind of let the Botox kind of be in place. And then after 2 weeks, you can begin to do gua sha, but you want to do it very, very lightly, and just be very careful in general. And then after 3 months from your Botox injection, then you can get into a lot more of the strokes that maybe require like more pressure or things like that. But that is something to be aware of if you do get Botox injections. If you get filler, you definitely just want to work around the areas where you have had filler injected, and you don't want to be doing any strokes across because you don't want to move the filler. You want to keep the filler is just meant to stay in place, and it could affect the results of your filler if you're doing all the lymphatic drainage to move things around, kind of similar to the Botox. And then of course, if you have any infection going on, you have like a tooth infection, or if you have like cold sores or something going on, if you know, an active breakout of those, I would avoid doing gua sha until that clears up. You just want to give your body time to kind of focus on healing that and not spreading anything around. And with breakouts, if you have like a very large like pimple or like a whole section somewhere where you have like a bunch of breakouts, you don't want to do strokes over the breakouts. I'll explain this again later, but you want to focus on doing strokes kind of like underneath or around the breakouts, again, to avoid spreading any bacteria around your face and causing more breakouts. But also, if you work around it, it clears away the lymphatic, helps to drain the lymphatic fluid in that area to help kind of like drain it away, so that it can actually help your breakout go away a little bit quicker, as long as you're not working directly on the breakout, but just around it. And so here are some steps for preparing for gua sha. It's really important to drink a lot of water. So I always recommend drinking some water before you do gua sha and after gua sha, you know, or if you don't have time and you're in a hurry, at least after. The water is just really good for helping us to flush out all of the wastes that we're helping to move down. So we're going to be draining all these wastes, and you don't want them to just stay stuck in your body and for your body to reabsorb them. So drinking lots of water helps us flush out anything we're moving down. Of course, it's very important to wash your hands and face. A lot of the gua sha techniques, you know, are kind of like around your neck area as well. So those are good areas to make sure clean also. And basically what you want to do is you want to have a clean, dry face, and then you take, you know, a facial mist. You always want it to be a hydrating facial mist. You don't want it to have any alcohol in it. You don't want it to have any like type of like acids or active ingredients in it, or artificial fragrances or chemicals. Because again, this is about clearing the toxins and wastes underneath your skin through the lymphatic system. So we don't want to add to that burden by putting more chemicals on top of our face. So you give a nice little spritz with the mist, and then you'll just need a few drops of oil, and you'll just pat that around your face and neck. And that will give us the proper glide that we need to perform the massage techniques. And you kind of want to think of Goldilocks here when you're thinking of how much oil to use. You don't want to use so much oil that your stone is slipping all over the place, and you don't want to not use oil, because then the stone is just going to be like pulling on your skin. So you want just enough to be able to get like a little bit of grip, but not enough for things to be sliding all over the place. So that's just something to keep in mind when preparing. And it's always great to do this in a quiet place if you can. I like to, you know, make sure that we're at least doing some deep breaths beforehand to make sure that you kind of center yourself, allow yourself to at least like relax your shoulders and kind of when you get into it so that you're not like doing anything crazy. You want all of your muscles to be as relaxed as possible because that's how you will get the best results from doing these techniques. And so now we're going to talk about some do's and don'ts. And this first slide is all about the do's. And some of these may or may not make sense. I'm going to be explaining some of these a little more in depth when we actually begin the demonstration. But just so that you have an idea, it's very important, especially when doing the lymphatic drainage techniques, that you want to use very, very light pressure. We're not like pushing into the face. We're not trying to cause lots of redness or anything like that. Just letting the tools glide against your skin and just let the weight of the stone do everything. And there's no need to push or add additional pressure. We want to do very slow movements, kind of making sure that we're moving the lymph and giving it time to kind of collect in the vessels and push it out to the sides. There is a 15-degree angle that I'll be talking about a little bit more during the demonstration. But basically, sometimes you see on social media a lot out there, people are like doing strokes to the skin where they're holding it like at a 90-degree angle and kind of going like this. And that's the opposite of what you want to do. We're actually going to work on holding the stone as close to the face as possible, almost just like completely, you know, have as much surface touching your skin as possible, so that it's down like this and not up like this. You want it back. So that kind of gives us that 15-degree angle. Is literally just enough room for like your thumb to fit under there and perform the strokes. And I'll remind you of that again, of course, as we go on, but that's very important. And then I'm also going to be talking about this concept of using support hands to anchor your skin in place, right? Sometimes I'll see people doing this incorrectly on social media as well. They're just using one hand, taking the stone and going like this, but they're not actually holding the skin taut. And so, especially if you have like looser aging skin, just going like this, all it's doing is just like pushing and pulling on your skin, and it's not actually moving the lymph fluid beneath your skin, which is the whole point of doing these strokes. So I'll be teaching you to kind of like hold at a starting point, and then you'll gently glide across the skin. And you'll notice there's a difference. I'll have you try a few strokes, you know, kind of like without it and with it, and you'll feel the difference. And it feels definitely like much more active, like it's moving stuff underneath the skin as opposed to just moving the skin. And then again, like I mentioned before, we want to work around breakouts and not directly on them. So if you have a breakout here, you know, instead of like maybe starting all the way from the beginning here and moving all the way across, we're just going to work. If you have a breakout there, then maybe just do strokes kind of around or under it is what we're going to be focusing on for that. And here are some don'ts, which are pretty much, most of them are the opposite of what I just said. So you're not applying too much pressure and like digging into the skin. You don't want to just like hurry through it and work too fast. You really want to take your time doing long, slow, drawn out strokes. And again, you don't want to pass over breakouts or any filler. And again, try to avoid all those chemicals in your products when using this. So I love the company Blasoma where I ship the products for you today. They have really beautiful ingredients. It's a company where the owner is also an herbalist. So I love to support other herbalist-owned product companies. And I know that everything is natural and nothing will kind of add to your skin's burden, and all the ingredients in these products today will really kind of help you to continue flushing out waste and support and nourish your skin. And these samples, like especially the oil, like this is quite a large amount of oil. So this sample will probably last you a very long time because you don't need that much to do this practice. But if you do find that you like the products and you would like to purchase the full sizes, I do have full sizes available for purchase on my website, so I can add some links to that into the chat at the end of this if you would be interested in getting the full size products in the future. And then another reminder, we don't want to use any serums or creams or gels for the glide. It's not going to give the same effect as when you're working with a spray, with a hydrating spray and an oil. A lot of the hydrating serums and stuff out there, they can get like really tacky and just doesn't flow smoothly, and you have to keep rehydrating. It can kind of just be like annoying and not give you the results that you're looking for. And that can happen with some of the gels, and you don't want to use heavy creams or anything that might inadvertently clog your pores. It's all about just getting the right amount of glide and slip, and we're only using a little bit of product just to assist with that. And if you do have like a nighttime routine that you like to follow that does involve like serums or creams or stuff like that, then what you can do is after you finish your gua sha routine, then you're welcome to take like a warm cloth and just kind of like gently wipe away some of that oil, and then you can kind of put in any of your apply any of your serums or creams that you may or may not like to use at nighttime. I kind of personally prefer like doing this at nighttime because you know, it's relaxing and helps you kind of get ready for bed and all of that. But you're welcome to do this any time of day, middle of the day, in the morning when you wake up. A lot of people actually like to do it in the morning when they wake up, especially to help with like under eye puffiness, if that's something you have that you experience frequently. And then again, you can follow with whatever products you use in your morning routine. But just for while you're doing the gua sha, try to avoid any of those products. And so now we're getting to the exciting part here. We're gonna just jump right into this live demo. And then I did also want to take a minute to see here if anyone had any questions now, just before I get started. Anything about like the history or some of the things we just reviewed. Let me, trying to see how I can view my chat box here.
I've got an eye on the chat. If anyone wants to throw in questions, I can read them to Marisol before we get
yeah,
started.
that'd be great. Yeah,
absolutely.
Nothing
so far. Yeah, tag team. I will say that I used to be a high school history teacher where we would teach about the Chinese dynasties, and I just texted the old teacher group chat about the jade roller being first popularized then. And some of my colleagues who are still teaching are like, oh, I've got to add that into our lesson plans for this year.
Nice.
So thank you.
Awesome. Yeah. Yeah, some really nice fun facts. And, you know, a lot of the dynasties are kind of especially focused on like, you know, like the emperors and this and that. So it's, you know, always nice when we get a female figure to thank for a thing that adds to something that people use like so much here in the US. So yeah.
Doesn't look like any questions are coming through, so I think we can probably proceed with the demo, and I'll let you know should anything pop up.
All right, perfect. Sounds good. Let's see, I'm gonna stop sharing my screen for this part, just so I can get my video up and see myself as I'm performing this. Stop share. Okay. Great, now I can see myself, wonderful. So yeah, so I think I sent out an email to everyone who ordered supplies from me, and I kind of mentioned, you know, make sure you have your products on hand and make sure that you wash your face, everything's kind of clean, you're not wearing a lot of makeup. So hopefully we can kind of just jump right in. I did forget to mention that, that like for the purposes of today, I wore something that I could kind of like tuck down around my shoulders here, because some of the strokes kind of do go along here as we're getting started. So if you're wearing a tank top, then that's perfect. You can just kind of work off the tank top. It looks like most of you have your cameras turned off. So if you just want to make sure. Oh, I'm seeing a question here. Someone forgot to prep. Yeah, so if you guys do want to take like maybe like, you know, like a few minutes, maybe like 5 minutes to wash your face if you have not done that already. then now is definitely a great time. Thanks for that, Amanda. Yeah, it's 6:38. So yeah, if we want, like 6:42 or 6:43 or something, I can make sure to start the demo then. So go ahead and get anything you need to get, or wash your face, and we'll be here. Does anyone have any comments or just anything they want to talk about? You're welcome to unmute yourself, and happy to just have a conversation with you for the next 5 minutes. Or if you're busy getting prepared, that is okay too.
Marisol, do you want to talk a little bit about how your business got up and running, and what drew you to, I don't know, holistic healing and being an esthetician, and kind of where that started for you?
Sure. I mean, I could talk for way longer, about 5 minutes about that. Let's see, I'll try to give the condensed version here. Yeah, so my kind of holistic journey was really a very, very long time in the making. I used to do just about everything opposite of holistic that you could ever imagine. I was, in general in life, just eating all the fast food and using just like dumping perfume on myself before stepping outside. And I was actually chemically relaxing my hair, ever since I was a little girl, and all the skincare and body products with all the harmful ingredients and chemicals, like that was me. I was just doing it. I mean, no one tells you really like that you shouldn't be using those things, or what effects they can have on your body. But when I got to college, I was kind of doing my, my self-exploration, trying to figure out who I am and things like that. And I realized I had been, chemically relaxing and straightening my hair. It's really interesting because my journey actually starts with my hair here. And I realized that I didn't know what my natural hair texture actually was. And I had just been straightening it for so long that I wasn't sure. There's such a big range in like the types of curls people can have. And I realized I didn't know anything about like my curl type, my curl pattern, what it would look like. And I was just really curious about that. So I started growing my hair out. I let the relaxer grow out and then did a haircut so that it was all my natural texture. And I started researching products online for products good for curly hair. And in that search, everyone was like, there was all these recipes for like DIY, make your own hair care this, and it has less chemicals and less toxins. And I was like, what are they talking about? And I just kind of like went down this rabbit hole in the internet search and started kind of like learning about more holistic hair care and how it's better for curls. And it was a lot of fun. And then from there, a lot of the beauty blogs and stuff kind of led into natural skincare as well. And it really took off from there. In college, I was studying health sciences. And then I decided to kind of take what I learned from health sciences, but I wanted to do a little bit of a more like holistic approach. So after I graduated with my health sciences degree, I began studying herbalism because I was so drawn to all the great things you could do with herbs and how you can incorporate them into skin and hair beauty products. And then I decided it would be so great to incorporate, to be able to actually physically do services in the beauty industry, and really be able to give people personalized advice on how to incorporate all these natural products into your skincare routines. And so that's kind of like the long journey that kind of like brought me to being an esthetician. So at the very end of that, I finally decided like, I really need to go to esthetician school so I can learn more about like skincare ingredients and how I can mesh them with herbs and try to like build this holistic practice from that. And then, then as you start learning about herbs, you get interested in more holistic things. So then I started learning about spiritual healing, and it was really just a chain reaction of like one thing led to another. And I was like, what about that? And what about this? And here I am with my holistic skincare business. And it's been a really fun journey learning about myself and learning about how to better nourish and take care of myself. So I'm excited to help introduce others to that experience. So
thank you for sharing that. It's such a great story, the path that you've taken.
Yeah, so I did not wake up and forever knew that I wanted to be in the beauty industry and do skincare, but I am so excited that I found this career path, and I know that it doesn't even feel like work. So I'm so excited to be here explaining this stuff, and doing facials is just so much fun. So, and helping people just nourish themselves and feel better. So hopefully you guys really enjoy this demo and find that when you practice this more and more often, I find that it's really great to, build up to doing it every day if you can make the time for it. Because you'll notice, like, you should take a picture of yourself today before, as kind of like your first day before incorporating this into your daily routine, and then take another photo like a month later and really see like the changes, like, wow, my face just in general looks like less puffy, and wow, those fine lines are really much less noticeable. It's really fun to do a little challenge like that. So I encourage you to take photos of yourself tonight, just to keep for yourself and look back at again a month from now and see if you notice any big changes. So yeah, so like I mentioned, hopefully you guys are able to kind of, tuck your shirt down, or if you're able to change into a tank top or something so that this is kind of exposed. And yeah, so I would like to get us all, make sure everyone's relaxed and centered so that we're all in a great headspace for getting started, and that our muscles are a little bit less tense already just from relaxing. So I'm gonna have everyone take 3 deep breaths in through the nose and then exhaling out through the mouth. And you really just wanna let it be an audible exhale. So we're gonna inhale in through the nose, and then exhaling. Taking another deep breath in, and exhaling out through the mouth. And one last breath, breathing in through the nose, and exhaling out through the mouth. And I'm gonna guide us through a really simple body relaxation technique that of course you don't have to do in the future if you don't want to, but I find it really nice anytime I'm feeling really tense and I just need to kind of like let go and ground myself. So we're going to start with the feet, and you are going to say out loud to yourself, feet, relax. And you're going to say it out loud to yourself a couple of times. So we'll say it again, feet, relax. And try to, feel your feet relaxing and releasing, seeing if you have any tension there and releasing it. And we're just going to kind of work our way up our entire body. So repeat to yourself, legs, relax. Legs, relax. Letting any tension in your legs kind of melt away. Hips, relax. Hips, relax. And working our way up a little bit. Belly, relax. Belly, relax. Lower back, relax. Lower back, relax. Chest, relax. Chest, relax. Upper back, relax. Upper back, relax. Arms and hands, relax. Arms and hands, relax. Neck and shoulders, relax. Maybe give them a little wiggle to make sure they're down and relaxed and not up to your ears. Neck and shoulders, relax. Face and head, relax. Maybe wiggling some of your facial features, trying to make sure everything is nice and relaxed. Face and head, relax. Entire body, relax. Entire body, relax. All right, so that was just a really simple body relaxation technique that you can use anytime you're stressed or if you're noticing a lot of tension in your body. Starting from your feet, working your way up. You can be as vague or as specific as you want to be. I find that the more specific I get and the longer I take working through it, I just get so relaxed. It's like I could just fall asleep immediately. You know, you could say toes, relax, you know, foot, relax, ankle, relax, calf, shin, relax, like thighs, hamstrings, you know, glutes, hips, and you can make it as specific as you want. If you don't have a lot of time, you know, just feet, legs, you know, hips, torso, shoulders, head, you know, whatever you have time for. Just a really nice way to kind of get in tune with your body, recognize where you're feeling tension, and allow yourself to release it. And great. So now would be the time. I'm going to take off my glasses. So again, if any of you are wearing glasses, you'll obviously want to remove those. And we will start with our sprays here. And I'm just pulling up my other notes over here. Perfect. All right. So just give yourself a nice little mist here. You know, maybe even there's going to be a couple strokes on the back of your neck. So try to reach the back of your neck and shoulders and your face. And take a little bit of the oil. So usually, you know, I recommend using an oil with dropper. Obviously the oil samples I gave you today don't have a dropper. If you did have a dropper, I would recommend you're thinking of using like 3 to 5 drops at first, see how that feels with the glide. And if that's not enough drops, then do more. But of course, just use a tiny bit here. Let's see, I'm gonna pour it into my fingers. It's a little hard to see, but I'm just using a little bit here, just rubbing it. And then we're not gonna fully massage it in. We're just gonna kind of gently pat it onto the surface of the skin. Spreading it around so that it's just available there on the surface for glide. And I really love this oil. This is a clear condition oil from Bliss Omba, and it has herbs and ingredients that are really good for all skin types. It's great if you do break out a lot. This will not contribute to your breakouts at all. In fact, this oil has ingredients that will probably actually help to clear your breakouts in the long term. And so don't worry about that. Usually when people get a lot of breakouts from using oils, they're generally putting too much oil on your skin. So that's just something to keep in mind. If you find that you're doing gua sha every day and you are for some reason developing more breakouts instead of seeing a reduction, then I would be more mindful of the amount of oil that you're using when doing this, and maybe at the end of gua sha, maybe just using a damp towel to remove some of the excess oil if you tend to be a little more heavy-handed. So we've got our tool here. And so first I'm going to remind you that we want to use a 15-degree angle for a lot of our strokes. So I'm going to demonstrate here again. 15 degrees is literally just enough for your thumb to kind of be underneath. You don't want to do 90 degrees like this, and even 40 degrees, you won't get the best results, because when you go 90 degrees and even 45 degrees, it's really kind of like, it encourages you to put deeper pressure. And again, we want to stick with light pressure. So the 15-degree angle helps to encourage a lighter pressure and just kind of like gently pull across the skin. That's a great way to keep in mind. In terms of holding your tool, you know, throughout this demonstration, we'll be using lots of different sides and edges. We have, you know, our ridged edges, we have smooth edges, we have this divot here that can be used for a lot of different areas. And so I'll be demonstrating that. And then before we quite get into using the tool, I like to just use my hands for a little bit of self-massage really quickly on certain areas where we have lymph nodes to kind of open things up. And as you'll see throughout this demonstration, we're basically doing a whole process where we're working from the bottom up. So you never want to start your gua sha from here and work your way down. You kind of want to, you start from the bottom and go up. And the metaphor I like to compare that to is kind of like untangling your hair. Like if you have a knot in your hair, you're not just going to start from the top and try to like rip through it. You're going to start from the bottom and slowly kind of like tease it open, you know, until it's all the way entangled at the top. So if you kind of think of a stagnant lymphatic system, you know, as that tangle, we want to start here, opening up your lymph nodes and stimulating them here, so that whatever we do later on has a place to drain into, so that your body can then properly eliminate the wastes that will be draining downwards today. And you'll see that a lot of our lymphatic drainage strokes are outwards and downwards. And that's just getting things over to the lymph nodes and then draining things down. So I'll keep repeating that as we go along. But like I mentioned, we have a lot of lymph nodes, especially particularly in the armpits. So I like to start here, kind of like just outside your armpits, just kind of doing a little massage here. And, you know, circular motions, you're not just like surfacely moving the skin, you kind of want to like dig your fingers in a little deeper and kind of get things moving. So I kind of like to do like 20 circles with a pretty firm pressure to kind of start stimulating our lymph nodes and waking them up a little bit, getting them ready to receive. It's a great time to do more deep breaths, making sure you're relaxed. And then the next spot we're going to do is right above our collarbones here. We're just going to kind of massage in here, and there's some lymph nodes in here. We just want to stimulate a little bit, just kind of getting in there with the circular motions and trying to keep your shoulders relaxed as we're doing this and not bringing them up to your ears. And then the next spot that we're going to focus on for massage a little bit is right here underneath the ears, and right at the outer edge of your jawbone here. You can kind of feel like right behind your jawbone and underneath your ear. Sometimes it's a little bit sensitive there. Now here you just want to use much more gentle pressure, because these lymph nodes tend to be a little more sensitive. And just gently using circular motions, stimulating these lymph nodes here underneath the ear and behind the jaw. And you might notice as you're doing this, and as we do a lot more of our lymphatic drainage strokes, it's very normal to feel the need to swallow a lot. You kind of produce a little more saliva as you stimulate your lymph nodes here, and all the swallowing and stuff is a very natural response to draining lymphatic fluid. I'm already noticing myself, swallowing a lot here. And then just underneath the jaw, people can usually feel your lymph nodes here. So very gentle. Again, these lymph nodes can sometimes be sensitive. So just some gentle circular movements right underneath your jaw there on either side. All right, so that's a nice little preparation step. It's pretty important. And then we're gonna start with doing some strokes around the neck area first, because again, we want to make space to drain lymphatic fluid from further up. So there are a couple of exceptions to the 15-degree rule, and the two exceptions are when you're working on the very back of your neck where your spine is, and the very front of your neck here where your windpipe is. You actually want to use this little edge here, this little divoted edge, and you actually want 90 degrees when working right over the windpipe and at the back where your spine is. And most of our lymphatic techniques are draining out and down, but these two spots, the windpipe and your spine, are the only areas where you actually go upwards. And then most of the techniques are outwards and down. And then there's a few lifting techniques that of course will be upwards. And those are kind of the exceptions to those rules. So the very first one that we'll do here is, let me see how much I can swivel myself around here. We want to start with the back of the neck here. And you actually want to, find a way that's comfortable to hold it, your tool. So I have it held like this. And we're going to take this heart-shaped edge here. And you want to line it up with your spine and just at 90 degrees. And here you can actually apply a firm amount of pressure. This kind of like helps to release the tension in the muscles along your spine. So you kind of like start at the base here where you feel, this larger piece of your spine stick out. And then 90 degrees going up. And you can kind of take it up into your hairline, where you kind of like feel kind of like an indent up further in your hairline. And you can even kind of like wiggle it around there for a little muscle tension relief. And a lot of the strokes I like to do, probably at least like a minimum of 3 times. You could do a few more times, maybe 5 times if you have more tension there and want to release that a little bit more. And so I hope this is that you guys are able.
This is great, Marisol. We can see
okay,
everything.
just making sure you can actually see. And but yeah, so just do that 3 times and nice and slow. And again, this one you can apply a good amount of pressure to. Alrighty, and then we're kind of gonna work our way around. So then for the next few strokes, it's up to you if you want to use the ridge side or the smooth side here. But this is where we're gonna begin trying to use our 15-degree angle and our lighter pressure. So if you want to use the smooth side, you know, you can hold it like this, make sure there's just enough room for your thumb underneath. And so your thumb will kind of glide across your skin and the stone will follow. Or if you want to use the ridge edge, you can also do that. So you just hold it more like this. And what we're going to do is, so we did that spine part. So now we're just going to go right next to the spine. And you're going to use your 15 degrees here. And we are going to gently come down here. And you can kind of take it as far as you want. If you are pregnant, then one of those pressure points is like right here on the kind of like where your collarbone meets your shoulder bone here. So depending on how far, if you're pregnant or not, will determine how far out you want to take that stroke. So if you are pregnant, I would end kind of, you know, before you get there and use a much lighter pressure, because really the contraindication is if you're like applying, like you don't want to like do a firm like pressure point in that spot. So you can just gently glide down from the side and bring it out to the side of your neck. And it'll look like this, 15 degrees here. And just, if you're pregnant, just being a little more careful around that area and not applying too much pressure there. And do, you know, like 3 strokes. You could do 5 if you want. And then, you know, the same thing, we'll just keep moving over. So now that was more in the back of the neck, and now we're a little more on the side of the neck. So you can just use 15 degrees. Notice how my thumb is right here touching. I'm not like this. Bringing it down, I'm going like this. And so we'll slide down and bring it out, and just being mindful of not going all the way out to the edge if you are pregnant. If you're pregnant, you could probably just stop, you know, right around here. And again, these strokes, it's always fun to experiment with which side of the tool you prefer to use. The smooth side is nice. And sometimes like you might notice yourself getting like a little bit, I don't know if I'm getting pink or not. Sometimes people get a little bit pink even when they're not applying pressure, just because it is, you know, bringing some circulation. But remembering that you're not wanting to like push and dig down. It's just kind of letting the weight of the tool as do the work as you're gliding it across. And then kind of moving more to the front area. When we get to the front area, I think it's a little more comfortable to kind of use the smoother side, so that this isn't kind of like jutting in to the side here. So I think the smooth side is a little bit nice here. And a little bit of gentle draining down to the neck here. And then as we get to the front of the neck, again, that's one of the exceptions. So we'll use the heart-shaped side. You can do 90 degrees here, but of course, because it's your throat area, you definitely don't want to be applying heavy pressure here. Very feather-light pressure, just gliding it up across and kind of just scooping upwards to the bottom of your chin. And you can do that a couple of times. Just very lightly. And so you'll notice as we're going through this, I'm basically going to take you through all the steps on one side of your face, and then we can kind of go through the other side of the face. And it's really fun too, sometimes when you're doing this at home, and especially if puffiness is your particular concern, it's really fun to do one side of your face and wait and then see the difference on one side of your face. You'd be like, wow, you could see compared to the other side of the face sometimes from just one session, that this side is so much more like slimmer and less puffy already just from that one session, and you can see what the difference was. So I think it's really fun to always do like half and then the other half and kind of compare at the end. Sometimes you don't see, if you don't deal with a lot of puffiness normally anyways, puffiness is usually the thing that gives the most dramatic results. So if you deal with puffiness, then you'll probably see like some instant benefits. But in terms of like all the other benefits, like the clearing the breakouts and working more on a lot of those fine lines and wrinkles, those usually take a more frequent practice to see results with that. So we did the neck, we did the back, and came around here to the throat. And now there's another part that we want to do, and this is a part that's right here on the side of the neck, and it helps to stimulate and drain those lymph nodes right underneath the ear that we were stimulating earlier with the massage. So you actually want to take the heart-shaped part of your tool, and you kind of want to tuck it underneath your ear so that part of it is in front of your ear and the other part is behind your ear. And it doesn't really matter like if it's like this way or this way for the time being. The point is just that it's underneath here. And you'll just want to apply, again, very gentle pressure. And we want to make sure we're using the 15-degree rule. So we're not going like this. We're using it here, down here like this. And we're going to do, it's kind of like a milking technique. We want to like take 3 shorter strokes. So we'll do like 1, 2, and 3. And then on the 4th one, we'll do it again, but then we'll take it down further to the edge of the shoulder. And just being mindful there at the edge of the shoulder if you're pregnant. And this is just, again, because we have so many lymph nodes right down this area, that it's always good to do, you know, a couple of extra strokes here. This really helps a lot with clearing the stagnation. And then taking a longer stroke and bringing it down. So those are the main strokes that we use for prepping the neck so that when we start working on the face, things will drain a little better. And so next we'll do some strokes here on the jawline. So again, we're working with this heart-shaped side, and we're remembering our 15-degree rule. So when notice how your jaw kind of like fits nicely inside here, but we don't want to do 90 degrees. So not like this. We want to make sure that our thumb is touching our skin and creating that 15-degree angle, so you can just gently glide. And this is where our anchoring hand comes in, our support hand to anchor our skin so that we're not just like pulling on our skin and then we're not really having any proper benefits that way. So with the jaw area, you see a lot of people online kind of like anchoring right here, but that doesn't really kind of hold the skin from over here. So I kind of like to anchor a little bit closer on one side instead of holding here. You can use like one finger, or you can use like a few fingers. And so I like to go here and hold here, and then just very gently gliding across to the end. And when you get to the end, you can tilt it a little more 90 degrees if you want, just to do like a quick like wiggle onto the skin, not too much pressure, but just doing that kind of, again, stimulates the lymph node there, kind of waking it up a little. So hold, you'll do a hold, and then you'll just gently glide across and do a wiggle. And you can kind of notice the difference sometimes, especially if your skin is a little bit looser. But if you're just going like this, it feels different than when you're like holding the skin more taut and going like this. Like you can really feel a difference in the movement, and it feels more like you're moving stuff underneath the skin as opposed to just moving the skin. So, 3 to 5 strokes is always what I recommend, because otherwise, if you do more than that, it would take you forever probably to complete your whole face, because again, we have to do all this on the other side. But yeah, just getting in another couple of strokes here. And you don't want to rush. You don't want to just be like, flying through this. Just taking your time, but not applying too much pressure. Just gently gliding across and giving yourself a little wiggle. And we're basically going to take this technique up the face, and you can kind of toy around with different angles or parts of your tool. Get creative, whatever feels comfortable for you. Everyone's face shape is different, so some parts of the tool may feel better one way than the other. There's no like wrong way to like which side you're using really, but some of them will obviously be more convenient for certain things. So then we'll move up. We're gonna work on this fleshy portion that's kind of just underneath your cheekbone. So you want to anchor again, so you're not just pulling your skin. So you want to anchor just outside your lip. Make sure you're kind of holding the skin there, and you can do your 15-degree angle. So we're not like this, we're like this, and just gently pulling across. You could do a little wiggle at the end there. If you're really trying to work on, like, I've got some of these like nasal labial folds kind of here. Sometimes you can kind of like hold here and do a little pull here first, so that you're kind of working on smoothing that out. And then you can move your hand to here and then continue the pull out here. So then that looks a little like this, holding here, and then moving your hand, doing a little wiggle. I like here because you can kind of like fit it to fit this area. Some people also, you can use this side if you want. Well, if you just want to go like this, if you have like larger cheeks, this might be nice because this covers a pretty large area, so you can really kind of just get this whole cheek area at once if you have a larger face. You can experiment with using the other side here. Whatever is comfortable for you there. And then, so that was under the cheek. So then now we'll do on the cheek. I like using this heart-shaped portion for on the cheek because like the chin, it's kind of like, it gives your cheek, like your cheekbone, some room so that you're not feeling like you're just dragging stuff like across your bone. So I find the heart shape best for this, and it kind of like fits around your nose too. So it's a little hard to anchor from your nose. So I kind of use a similar technique as I used here. I'll actually go here and I won't anchor for the first part. I'll kind of like pull a little bit first. And then once there's enough space, then I'll place down a hand to anchor, and then very gently pull across and do a little wiggle here. So it kind of looks like this. If you want, you can kind of experiment with the difference in the feeling. Like when you don't anchor and you just go like this, it kind of just feels like your skin is moving around. But then when you anchor it and you hold that skin and then let it glide across, it kind of like gives you a better grip, and you really feel like you're moving those fluids underneath your skin out. And again, another reminder to stay as close to your skin like this at the 15-degree angle. We're not working like this, we're working like this. And then only getting to that closer to 90 degrees at the end, just when you want to do a little wiggle, that's okay. And then once we get to this part up here, I kind of like to revisit this part that goes right underneath your ear. Like now we've drained some things, we pushed some things over to the side. So halfway up the face, I kind of like to revisit this and just make sure that we're moving it down and making room for the next part of the face. So again, we can come back to this and you can kind of do the milking technique a few times and then bring it down to the neck here. Making sure that your pressure is light here and that you're not digging too hard into the skin. And then we'll continue on. So next, people, love doing a lot of drainage around the eyes because a lot of people do tend to kind of wake up with puffy eyes or have a lot of like dark circles and stuff going on here. And this can definitely help. Especially when you're doing strokes around the eyes. Sometimes if you cold can help a little bit with decreasing the puffiness as well. So sometimes a really fun, neat trick is you could just put a couple of ice cubes in water in a bowl, and then you can dip your tool in the ice water and it cools your tool down so it's nice and cold. And then some people like that refreshing feeling too of using like a cold tool underneath their eyes. So that's something to keep in mind for like a future tip. And so underneath the eyes, you can kind of get creative with what feels comfortable for you for which edge to use underneath the eyes. I think I tend to like to go like this with this particular tool. There's a little more space here. It kind of fits nicely and nothing is too much in the way. We're just going to be kind of working on using this section underneath the eye. And under the eye is one of those places where you want to be really careful about anchoring. So anchoring is very important here because the skin is so fragile here and it's just so easy to move around and you don't want to like yank at your skin and tug and pull on it because of course that will only worsen, your fine lines and wrinkles. So gently again and making sure that we're doing like as close to the skin as possible. We're not working like this. We're not like digging it into the eyes or applying any pressure like that. We're gonna start here underneath the eye and we're gonna pull just a little bit, give us enough space to put in an anchor finger. And then the more you pull it, the more you continue your stroke, then you can continue adding like another support finger. And that may take a little bit practice to get comfortable with that feeling. But the eyes, sometimes the skin can be so loose underneath the eyes that it's really important to make sure that you're kind of like following with your anchor, because even if you anchor here, then once you get to here, you could still kind of be pulling too much on the skin. So you want to make sure that you're stabilizing the skin at every possible point to make sure that you're just draining what's underneath it without causing any damage to your skin on top of it. So I like to do this and then put in a little anchor and then another one as I glide out, another one and another one. You can pull that all the way up here and do a little wiggle. And so this might be one of those times where, maybe you're doing like 3 strokes everywhere else, but your eyes are really puffy today, and you can do a bunch of strokes, on the eye, under the eye area and kind of work on draining out the fluid. And, as you get better at this, you want to make it like as a smooth and fluid movement as you can so that it's not like you're stopping and starting and stopping and starting. We kind of just want one nice, slow, gentle sweep as we're doing this. Just Moving that fluid out from underneath the eyes if you have any puffiness. Yeah, so that's really good. And if you're noticing, the puffiness isn't quite going away after you've done a few strokes, sometimes you need to revisit doing a little more drainage down here. You always want to make sure that your cheeks are drained nice and good in order to kind of help some that under eye area to also improve. So it never hurts to do, like a few extra strokes around here. At any time, if you're like, oh, maybe I should do a little extra around here to help kind of make sure that everything underneath the eye is drained well. Whatever you have time for, of course. And so then we've done that little bit by the eye there. And now we'll do some strokes kind of across the eyebrows here. So again, you can kind of find whatever spot is comfortable for you. You can kind of do, you could do the heart shape over the eyebrow and pull it out over the edge and do a wiggle. And again, keeping to that 15-degree, like we're not doing this, we're doing 15 degrees here. So gently smoothing out, a little wiggle at the end. And kind of mess around and see if any other parts of the tool feel more comfortable for you, if you feel like they get a better grip. But as long as you're having enough like surface area contact, you can kind of get creative there. So yeah, I didn't like that one, but yeah, I like this one. Maybe like this bottom edge, it's a little thicker. It's nice. I feel like it covers a little more area. And then we'll do some strokes going upwards because we're kind of doing like an outwards motion. We want to push it to the edges first. So I kind of like to use the ridged edge for this, but you can also use the smooth edge, kind of see what feels comfortable for you. But you can do motions like this, and again, keeping it 15-degree angles so you're not like this. It looks like this. Do a little wiggle up here. Very gentle pressure. Yeah, and sometimes when people do get carried away with applying too much pressure, some people think like, oh, I got a lot of stuff and I really want to make sure I'm getting it out. Well, applying the pressure is kind of counterintuitive because when you're applying too much pressure, like our lymph vessels are just underneath the skin and they're very like fragile. So if you put too much pressure, you're really just closing the vessel. You're like kind of squishing it instead of like allowing, instead of like being actually able to successfully like drain the liquid from it. So anytime you're pressing too hard, you're definitely not going to see as much benefits because you're not really moving the fluid. You're kind of just crushing the vessels every time you do that so that fluid can't even move through them. And then, you run the risk of like bruising yourself or causing too much redness if you're digging and applying too much pressure. But yeah, continue to, now we can do like from the middle of the brow upwards. You can even do, yeah. And, experiment with which side of the stone feels best for you. You can try this side, do a little wiggle at the top. And then right on the forehead here, you can kind of like pull up a little bit here and then anchor once you pass that part. And yeah, and so from the side angle, just, you know, just enough for your thumb, then you're anchoring, and pulling up, and then you can do a little wiggle at the end there. And then after that, so we've kind of worked on pushing everything to the side, and we want to do like a big sweep to kind of just like get everything down and out that we push to the sides. So I like to use the ridge edge for this. You start in the middle. It doesn't matter if it's like this way or whichever way, you know. But as long as the ridge edge is here, you want to pull to the side, and you're gonna kind of like sweep like up a little bit like this, but kind of gonna come up, and then you actually are gonna come up to 90 degrees right on the hairline. So it's kind of like 15 degrees, 15 degrees, 15 degrees. And then as you scoop, you kind of do the scooping outwards motion so that it then becomes 90 degrees at the hairline. And then what you're gonna do is you're not applying pressure here, you're just dragging it down towards the bottom of the ears. And then when you hit the edge of your jaw back here and right in front of your ear, then you're gonna pivot it. So then the whole thing is now behind your neck, and then 15 degrees again, and you're just gonna sweep it all the way on down to your neck. And so that move might take, you know, a couple tries until it becomes one fluid movement, but that's the idea. You want it to turn into one fluid movement to kind of like, all right, let's sweep everything down and out. So again, we're keeping, the only time you go 90 degrees is once you're on the hairline. And again, you're not applying pressure. You're just kind of like dragging down a little bit with just the regular weight of the tool. So we'll do here, coming out 15 degrees still, only 90 degrees once we reach the hairline, coming down a little bit, pivoting behind the jaw and underneath the ear, getting back to our 15 degrees, and gently gliding down the neck. And again. Pivot, glide. Pivot, glide. And so basically that's the lymphatic drainage portion. I never really recommend doing any of the lifting techniques. Oh, I see someone's hopping off. Well, this is recorded, so you'll definitely get to catch up later. Bye. And so, yeah, so you always want to do the lymphatic drainage before we get into the lifting and other friction techniques to help further reduce the appearance of fine lines and wrinkles. So it's really important because a lot of those things just don't take place unless you've kind of like cleared way for all of that to happen. So if you're just doing all the friction stuff and those lifting techniques on your own, without the lymphatic drainage, you just might not see as good of results as you're hoping for, because again, the majority of your results are really going to come from practicing this lymphatic drainage, and the lymphatic drainage is the most important part to your skin health. So doing the lymphatic drainage first, and then getting into lifting techniques and friction techniques to help. So yeah, so that is exactly what we'll get into next. For the lifting, there's just a few nice strokes here. Let me just checking my notes over here very quickly. Okay, so the first lifting stroke that we want to do here, we're going to be lifting from underneath your collarbone, and you're going to kind of be coming up through, kind of when you turn your neck a little bit, there's this muscle here that goes up the side of your neck, and you're going to kind of come up through here, and then we're going to be doing a little lifting like right above the jaw. And you'll see that once we get to the jaw, we again abandon our 15-degree rule and actually go 90 degrees for a lot of the lifting techniques. So and sometimes you kind of want to, for this technique, because you might want to switch hands. A lot of the techniques, like I'm a righty, and for my right side, it was like easy enough for me to use my right hand for everything, but it would be a little bit of an awkward angle trying to get the sweeping motion going all the way up. So you might find it easier to switch hands. I like to use the serrated edge again here because it kind of gives a nice little grip once we get to the jaw. So here we'll be starting underneath the collarbone, and you might want to tilt your neck a little bit, so then you kind of come up, and you're still using 15 degrees at this point and not too much pressure. But then when you get to the jawline, you actually want to do like a scooping action because we're lifting. The idea here is to lift. So if you have any like looser skin or muscle here, the whole point is to kind of like lift it up. So once we get up to underneath the jaw, we're going to kind of turn to our 90 degrees here. And you want to kind of like grab like as much kind of like meat as you can, so to speak. And you really want to just like grab it up, and make it like, so you're really like scooping up that tissue like above, that's below the jaw. You want to scoop it up to above the jaw. So I'll try to demonstrate it from a few different angles and see how it goes. But we'll do here. You're coming up along here, and then you turn it to 90 degrees, and you kind of want to scoop as much as you can up here, and just kind of like hold it and give a little wiggle there. Nice little scoop here, a little wiggle. And for the most part, you're using a gentle pressure coming up. You can increase the pressure a little bit because you do need a little bit of extra pressure just to be able to get that scooping action. Because you want to like grab as much here and you're just scooping. So hopefully you can see that angle, and you want to scoop it up here and kind of just like hold it. And so then that will kind of help over time with any with the skin, with kind of like helping to sculpt like this jaw area, because you have that muscle like runs from all the way up here, so it kind of helps to reprogram that muscle a little bit, firm it up a little bit, help counteract gravity working down on it all the time, and give it a little release upwards. You can hold it for a minute. So that kind of gets, this outer jaw portion. That's great for sculpting this outer jaw portion. Then we do the front of the neck again. And again, this is definitely 90 degrees here, but remember on the windpipe, you want to be very gentle. So it's feather-light pressure. You're just gliding here, 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 here. Then when you get up to the bottom of your chin, you actually want to continue keeping it at a 90-degree angle. And you want to do like more of a little bit more pressure to get more of like a scooping motion going on here, because you'll take the heart shaped here and it helps to scoop, and you want to do kind of like that scoop and lift and hold it up above your chin here for a couple of seconds, kind of like what we just did on the other side of the jaw. So we scoop, gentle, 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 but then when it comes time to needing to scoop, you can apply a little more pressure so that you can scoop as much meat, so to speak, as you can up into the above the jawline. And hold it for a couple of seconds. And we're lifting and you scoop. And this will help again with lifting around that jaw area. And then we want to work on areas around the neck. So we have, a lot of people will develop, wrinkles along the neck here, because they're all horizontal from us bending, squishing our neck like this, right? So first we want to take a few smoothing strokes, and you want to have your 15-degree angle, and you're going to hold taut very gently, of course, on your windpipe or to the side of your windpipe here, so that you can pull your skin, will glide over your skin to the side, and make sure you're holding your skin taut here. Do a few strokes like that. Very gentle, not applying too much pressure. And then this is where we're going to introduce our friction movements. So the thing you want to be very careful about here when we're doing our friction movements is you don't want to apply too much pressure. And because when you combine hard pressure plus friction, that's how you get like all of that crazy redness and bruising that you get from like traditional gua sha on the body. But again, we're not doing that. We just want very gentle stimulation to help our bodies build more collagen in the area, so that then the fine lines will be reduced. So in order to do friction, friction is where you always want 90 degrees, but you want like almost no pressure. Just use the weight of the tool to do the work. And you're gonna focus on one line at a time that you wanna work on. You find it, or you could work on a few in a section. You find a section here, you want to make sure that your skin, you're holding it taut, whether it's like taut between here and there, or you can kind of like pull 2 fingers on either side, kind of like work with different ways to make sure that you're holding the skin taut. And then you want to take the tool 90 degrees and do like these very gentle friction movements with the ridged edge here. And you want to make sure that you're doing them in the opposite direction of your lines that you're trying to focus on. So if the lines on the neck are going this way, then you want the motions for your friction to be going the opposite direction, up and down. So I'll hold taut here, and very gently, you're just gonna create some friction on your skin, but no pressure. So it's more about like speed here than anything, but not pressure. So just enough to kind of stimulate your skin there to help build a little extra collagen. You can kind of focus on each one, spend a few seconds on each line. If there's like a major one, maybe focus on that most of the time. Do a little up here. So I'm just doing up and down movements. You can kind of come at it from different angles too. So you definitely want to do up and down if the line is horizontal, but you can also kind of come at it with like a crosshatch kind of pattern. And just gently doing friction movements. You could switch it around the angle to this way a little bit. Crosshatch it in the other direction. Kind of just basically doing that on all the lines you want to focus on. And then just like we smoothed it out beforehand, you kind of want to take another second to smooth that out again. And we'll just smooth to the edge here. And smooth to the edge here. And of course, because of this friction, you'll definitely see that your skin will be getting like much more pink or maybe even a little bit of redness, which is normal because we are bringing circulation to the area because we want to tell your body, hey, let's stimulate this area. Let's get circulation to this area. We need a little more collagen and healing in this area. And just kind of your body will bring more nourishment to that area and help it kind of firm up a little bit. So doing that over time, you'll definitely see a reduction in the appearance of fine lines. So we did that. As you work your way up, then it's basically like a lot of friction movements and this combination of friction and those smoothing movements on whatever, customize it to whatever lines on your face like bother you the most, right? So for me, I tend to be a little heavy here with my nasolabial folds. So I would first do like a couple smoothing strokes. So kind of similar to what we did earlier. Maybe just do a few short strokes here just to smooth the area. And then I'm gonna turn it 90 degrees, hold my skin taut. And then I wanna do, opposite of the direction. So my line goes this way, so I'm gonna do this way. And it's great to think of this as, I kind of think of it as like your eraser. You wanna erase away all your wrinkles. Just don't press hard, of course, but that's kind of like the idea. And again, you can kind of switch up your angle, do a little cross hatching. Try to get creative. Sometimes you have to like figure out the most comfortable way to angle your hand while you're doing this and making sure to hold your skin taut. And then we'll do some smoothing strokes. And then working our way up again. If you have lines around your eyes that you want to work on, then again, there's usually two angles you want to work on. Usually the lines that are under here in this area are facing a different direction than the lines that are over here. Usually these lines are kind of like straight across, and then the lines down here start coming down this way. So you want to treat the lines here versus here separately because you'll be using different directions for those. So you want to make sure to hold taut here, and you'll take this and very gently, barely applying pressure. You're just using the weight of the tool in your hand and doing your friction movements right here underneath your eye, wherever you have those fine lines. And then here, the ones on your outer eye are a little bit better if you kind of come at it from this direction. I'm just experimenting with ways that work best to hold that skin taut, because especially around the eye, if you're not holding it taut and you're going like this, it's just, your skin is just wiggling up and down with it and it's not really doing much. So it's important to hold taut however you can and kind of work up and down with that. Very gentle friction movements. And kind of repeat again. I'm kind of like holding two fingers here apart so that I hold that still. And yeah, then you'll want to smooth that out a little bit. So you can kind of take whatever portion here feels comfortable. A little wiggle. Smoothing this out. Okay, so we've addressed all the fine lines from there. So then next after the eye, then other areas that are common are like right in between your eyebrows here, you get lines like this, or your forehead, you get those horizontal lines. So same idea, you can kind of do the friction movements all across your forehead. Coming up and down here, 90-degree angles, but especially on the forehead because it's such a bony area, really you don't want to be applying much pressure here at all. Just very gently, you know, focus on an area where you focus on the area with the biggest line that you're trying to work on and do a little friction. You can kind of switch the angle a little bit, do some cross hatching. And this friction technique is the same technique that you'll use if you have like any dark spots from acne scars, you know, or some type of dark spot that you want to work on. If you have like a dark spot, you know, like right here or something, you know, then you would hold taut and you would do the friction movements just directly over the dark spot. And because it helps to stimulate the area and bring, you know, it kind of like generates a healing response from your skin. So your skin is going to start bringing more nutrients there and paying more attention to that spot on your skin. So it could help reduce that scar over time and or fade that dark spot, whichever it is. But this is kind of just like the eraser technique and the cherry on top for your gua sha routine. You know, and spend as much or as little time as you need to kind of hit all the spots that are bothering you, you know, and then of course you're going to be working in different directions since these lines run vertically. You're going to want to hold taut here and kind of like work horizontally in the middle here. Not applying too much pressure, just gently doing friction. And then there's just a couple more lifting strokes. So we did a lift from here to here, kind of like help with the jaw. Another stroke that we're going to do starts right at the jaw, and we're going to kind of scoop underneath the cheek, and we want to anchor it up here. So it's going to kind of go like this. So first we're starting right at our jawline, and we're going to come up at 15 degrees. See how my thumb is touching here, but then we're going to scoop right under our cheek and kind of scoop it up like a squirrel or something, chipmunk. And then we're going to scoop here for a second, and then you're going to kind of gently release the 90-degree angle, but while still scooping as much as you can and pulling up here. And then we're going to grab some of the edge of your eyebrow too and just pull it all straight up and then do a wiggle into the hairline. This one, you don't do any anchor hands because we want to move things up in this direction. So again, we start at 15 degrees, but then scoop up into 90 degrees under the cheek. And then kind of want to gently move as much of that cheek up. And then we will grab some of that eyebrow and then move it up to the edge here. So that's a great technique to kind of help, you know, if you're having like the drooping cheeks, and it gives a nice little lift to your eyebrow too. Scoop underneath and then gently pull up as much of that tissue as you can. Pulling up to the eyebrow and then giving a little wiggle. And so you can do that a few times, you know, 3 to 5 times is what I recommend. And then the last lifting techniques are for the eyebrows. If you want to kind of give a little lift to your eyebrows to help, you know, if over time, sometimes when the skin gets loose and the eyebrows start sagging, your eyes kind of come close together, but you want to kind of like open up your face a little bit, give a more youthful look there. You can you know, the lifting techniques all involve some type of like scooping. So, and I always like kind of like the ridged edge always kind of like helps you get a good scoop, a better grip. So just under, so like right on the brow bone, because obviously you don't want to go into your eye socket, just right on the bone here. You want to like scoop up, you know, scoop up like the skin underneath your eyebrow. And we're gonna scoop it up. You're gonna hold for a second here. You see how like how much I'm like scooping? I'm getting a good amount under here. So we'll scoop and hold for a couple of seconds. And then again, you're gonna kind of gently release the angle. You wanna roll that skin upward as much as you can. And you're gonna pull up and you wanna anchor that into your hairline and give a good wiggle. So again, you're gonna scoop under here, hold, and keep holding on to that tissue, but gently release the 90-degree angle, kind of roll everything upwards. And we're gonna anchor up here. And then the same idea, but you do it 3 times, one in the center and then also one in at the edge of your brow on the other side. So from the middle, you scoop and hold it for a couple of seconds, and then pull upwards. Anchor that into your hairline. And then the same idea with the inside. You pull and scoop, and then release the angle a little bit, but continue to pull that tissue upwards into the hairline. Give a little wiggle. Pull and scoop. Relax the angle, but keep pulling on that skin and pulling upwards. And then that basically concludes the gua sha routine that I wanted to teach you guys. And so basically everything we just did on this side is the exact same thing you want to do on the other side. And of course, once you get the hang of this and you're doing it on your own, it's not going to take as long as it was going through today, because of course I was stopping and explaining everything to you. But I definitely encourage you to watch this video a few times over the next time when you're doing this, so that you can make sure that you're doing everything correctly as far as angles go, making sure that you're paying attention of when and when to not apply pressure, just to get the best results from that. And again, it's drainage, then lifting and some friction, and doing that every day, you'll see beautiful results in your skin. And your skin will just look so much more vibrant. Your skin should be a lot clearer. And you should definitely see a reduced appearance in those fine lines and wrinkles over time. And we are nearing the end of our time here, because we're going to be ending at 8. So I'm going to leave it up to you guys to practice all those exact same steps. It's just replicated on the other side, working your way, you know, starting again with the drainage out and down, and then you want to work your way, then you want to do the lifting again, and then some of the friction movements on the other side. And I'm going to share that PowerPoint again, just really quickly, because it has a couple of details on there. Let me share my screen one more time. Share. Okay, so here we are back at my presentation screen. I have a little announcement I wanted to make, that I would like to offer all you guys $50 off of your first facial if you happen to be in the Boston area and would like to come see me. I can give personalized recommendations. I do specifically have a Gua Sha sculpting facial, where instead of you having to do this on yourself all the time, I can do all those movements for you. But even then, if you come in for that facial, this is still a great practice to keep daily. And here is my contact information if any of you guys want to reach out. My phone number there, I respond quickest to text messages. So you guys are welcome to text me with any questions that come up as you're reviewing this recording and kind of practicing and going through things again. I am on Instagram, so you can find me at Esperanza Herbals. You can check out my website or you can send me an email. So I encourage you guys to reach out anytime with any questions. And what else? Oh yeah, and then I wanted to, another quick surprise. Tomorrow I would like to email you guys a quick like evaluation form, just to kind of get your feedback on how this event was for you guys. And if you complete that and get that back to me, then I would love to offer you a 15% off coupon towards a product order on my online store. So if you're thinking about, you know, maybe ordering like the full size of like one of these sprays or these oils, you know, if you do the evaluation form, you can get 15% off of those too. So in that email that I send out, I'll include the links to those two products if you want to order the full sizes. And yeah, and I'll send out the evaluation form, and feel free to just reply back or reach out another way with any of your questions.
Marisol, I just want to say such a huge thank you from us at the League. This is awesome. I think people are already excited to do the other side of their face now. I will say for everyone on here, Marisol's studio is right on Clarendon Street in Back Bay, so close to the Junior League headquarters. So really convenient. And I have done her Gua Sha facial. It was exceptional. I feel like I was so relaxed by the end. And thank you so much for all of your goodies and giveaways and gifts. It's really thoughtful and wonderful for everyone.
Yep. Amazing. Yeah. Thank you so much. And yeah, I hope everyone had a good time. And yeah, just expect a quick follow-up from me tomorrow via email.
Thank you. Good night, everyone.
Good night, everyone.
Good night. Thank you.
Good night.